She agreed to fake date a stranger for $500. What she didn't know was that the quiet man in the coffee shop who needed a girlfriend for the weekend was vampire royalty. And by Monday morning, he would move heaven and earth to make the arrangement permanent. The fluorescent lights in the campus library flickered at 2 a.m., casting shadows across Maya's biochemistry textbook. Her third cup of vending machine coffee had gone cold hours ago, but she couldn't afford to buy another one. Every dollar counted when you were juggling tuition, rent, and your mother's medical bills on a waitress's salary. Her phone buzzed. Another text from her roommate about this month's rent being late. Maya's eyes burned. She'd picked up every extra shift at the diner, sold her textbooks from last semester, and even donated plasma twice this week. It still wasn't enough. She closed the textbook and opened her laptop instead, navigating to the campus job board with the desperate hope of finding something, anything, that paid immediately. Most posts were the usual tutoring gigs that paid in 2 weeks, or unpaid internships that might as well have been jokes. Then she saw it. Posted 20 minutes ago. Need. Date for family weekend. 1 weekend commitment. Friday evening through Sunday brunch. Compensation. $500 cash, paid up front. Discretion required. She read it 3 times. $500. That would cover rent with enough left over for groceries and maybe, a small payment on Mom's hospital bill. Her finger hovered over the reply button. This was crazy. This was how people ended up on true crime podcasts, but $500. She typed quickly before she could change her mind. I'm interested. Details? The response came within seconds, as if someone had been waiting by their computer. Meet me at Cornerstone Coffee tomorrow, 4 p.m. corner booth. I'll explain everything. No obligations until you hear the full proposal. She should have said no, should have deleted the email and gone back to studying. Instead, she wrote, I'll be there. Cornerstone Coffee smelled like cinnamon and old books, the kind of place where students pretended to study while actually scrolling through their phones. Maya arrived 15 minutes early, ordering the cheapest thing on the menu, a small black coffee she didn't want, just so she wouldn't feel guilty taking up space. The corner booth was empty. She slid into the cracked leather seat, her palms sweating despite the November chill that crept through the old windows. At exactly 4 p.m., a man walked in. He was tall, impossibly tall, with dark hair that fell just past his collar and eyes so pale they looked silver in the coffee shop's warm lighting. He wore an expensive coat, the kind Maya had only seen in department store windows, and moved with a careful grace that made people step aside without realizing they were doing it. He spotted her immediately and walked over. His footsteps made no sound on the wooden floor. Maya Chen? His voice was quiet, but it carried. She nodded, suddenly very aware of her thrift store sweater and the hole in her left sneaker. He sat across from her, folding his long frame into the booth with practiced ease. Thank you for meeting me. I'm Adrian. No last name, she noticed. He continued, I know this is unconventional. Let me explain what I need before you decide. Maya wrapped her hands around her coffee cup. I'm listening. My family is very traditional. Adrian's expression remained neutral, but something flickered in those strange pale eyes. They've been pressuring me to settle down, to find someone appropriate. This weekend is our annual family gathering at the estate. If I attend alone, I'll spend 3 days being introduced to potential matches I have no interest in meeting. Maya felt a small smile tug at her lips despite her nervousness. So you need a fake girlfriend to get your family off your back. Essentially. Adrian's lips curved slightly, not quite a smile. I need someone who can convincingly play the role for 3 days. Someone intelligent who can handle conversation with my rather intense relatives. Someone who won't actually want a relationship afterward. She should have asked why he didn't have a real girlfriend. Why he was offering so much money for something so simple. Why his family couldn't just accept that he wanted to be single. Instead, she heard herself ask, "Why me?" "You don't know me. I've been observing the campus for a few weeks." Adrian leaned back, his pale eyes studying her face. "You work at Sterling Diner. You take notes in your biochemistry lectures even when the professor is reviewing material you clearly already understand. You help other students during study sessions without being asked, and without expecting recognition. You're kind, intelligent, and you need money badly enough to respond to a strange post at 2 a.m. That should have frightened her, the fact that he'd been watching, but there was nothing predatory in his tone. Just a careful assessment, the way someone might research before making an important decision. "The $500, Maya said carefully. "That's a lot for a weekend." Adrian nodded. "It is. Which should tell you how much I value my peace of mind. I'll pay half up front, tonight, if you agree. The other half Sunday evening when the weekend concludes. All expenses will be covered. You'll stay in a guest room at the estate. My family can be overwhelming, but they're not. Dangerous. Dangerous. Odd word choice. What exactly would I need to do? Attend Friday's welcome dinner, Saturday's garden party and evening gala, and Sunday's farewell brunch." He said it like a checklist. "Stay close to me during events. Engage politely with my family. Deflect intrusive questions about our relationship with vague, pleasant answers. Otherwise, you're free to explore the grounds or relax in your room." Maya's mind raced. 3 days, 4 meals with strangers, pretending to date someone who looked like he'd stepped out of a gothic romance novel. The smart thing would be to walk away. She thought about her mother's latest hospital bill sitting on her desk, about the rent notice, about the creeping anxiety that followed her everywhere these days. When would I need to decide? Now. Adrian's voice remained gentle, but there was an edge of urgency. "I leave Friday at noon. If you agree, I'll need tomorrow to prepare appropriate attire for you. What's your dress size?" This was insane. Completely insane. 6, she said, sometimes 8. Adrian pulled out his phone, typing something quickly. "Do you have any allergies I should know about? Food sensitivities? Medical conditions that might require accommodation?" "No allergies. No conditions." She watched him type more notes. He was thorough, she'd give him that. "Any questions for me?" Maya had about 1,000. She picked the most important one. "Why not just tell your family you're not interested in dating? Believe me, I've tried." His expression darkened. "They don't accept it. My mother particularly has made it her mission to see me settled. The only thing that will satisfy her is seeing me with someone I've supposedly chosen myself. And after this weekend? When I show up to things alone again?" Adrian met her eyes. "I'll tell them we decided we wanted different things. That it ended amicably. They'll be disappointed. But at least I'll have bought myself some peace for a while." There was something sad in his voice. Something lonely that Maya recognized because she felt it too. The isolation of being surrounded by people who didn't really see you. She took a breath. "I have one condition." Adrian tilted his head, waiting. "I need to tell my roommate where I'll be. I'll send her the address and check in with her each day." "For safety." "Of course." He looked almost relieved. "I'd insist on it if you hadn't. Here." He pulled out his wallet and withdrew a business card. His phone number was printed in simple black text, nothing else. "Call that number anytime this weekend if you feel uncomfortable. I'll arrange transportation back to campus immediately, no questions asked." Maya took the card. The paper was heavy, expensive. "So, do we have an agreement?" She thought about the rational thing to do. The safe thing. Then she thought about the hospital bill and her mother's tired voice on the phone last week saying she was fine, don't worry, even though they both knew she wasn't. "Yes," Maya said. "We have an agreement." Adrian's shoulders dropped slightly. tension she hadn't noticed releasing. He reached into his coat and pulled out an envelope. $250, as promised. The rest Sunday evening. Maya took the envelope with shaking hands. She'd never held this much cash at once. I'll need you tomorrow at 11. Adrian stood, somehow making the movement look elegant rather than abrupt. For the fitting, I've arranged for a stylist to meet us at Marchand's downtown. They'll provide everything you'll need for the weekend. Marchand's. Maya knew the name. It was the boutique where her roommate had once pressed her nose against the window, sighing over dresses that cost more than a semester's textbooks. I have class until 10:30. 11 works. Good. He handed her another card, this one with an address embossed in gold. The car will pick you up outside your building at 10:45. The car. Right. Because apparently, this was the kind of thing that came with a car service. Maya stood too, clutching the envelope against her chest like a shield. Adrian, she said. And he paused, looking back at her. This is real. Right? You're not going to, I don't know, harvest my organs or something? The corner of his mouth lifted. Not a smile, but close. I promise, no organ harvesting. Just 3 days of very boring conversation and questionable family dynamics. You'll be perfectly safe. She wanted to believe him. The strange thing was, despite how insane this whole situation was, she did. There was something steady about him. Something that felt oddly trustworthy even though they'd only just met. I'll see you tomorrow then. He inclined his head slightly. Looking forward to it, Maya. The way he said her name, careful and precise, made something flutter in her chest that she firmly ignored. This was a business arrangement. $500 for 3 days of acting. Nothing more. She watched him leave, his dark coat swirling around him as he stepped into the November evening. Through the window, she saw a sleek black car pull up immediately, as if it had been waiting. He slid into the back seat, and then he was gone. Maya looked down at the envelope in her hands. She opened it slightly, just enough to confirm it was real. $50 bills, crisp and new, 5 of them. Her hands trembled. She could pay rent, buy groceries, maybe even afford her medication this month instead of skipping doses. Whatever Adrian's family gathering entailed, it would be worth it. It had to be. That night, Maya lay in bed, staring at the ceiling of her tiny shared apartment. Next to her in the other twin bed, her roommate Jess snored softly, already deep asleep after her shift at the campus bookstore. Maya had told her about the arrangement, watching Jess's eyes grow wider with each detail. Jess had made her promise to share her location continuously and to check in every 6 hours. She'd also made Maya show her Adrian's contact information and had promptly run a reverse phone search that turned up nothing except a registered business line. He's either very private or very dangerous, Jess had concluded, though she'd admitted the money was too good to pass up if Maya felt safe about it. Maya didn't know if she felt safe exactly. She felt desperate, which wasn't quite the same thing, but when she closed her eyes, she kept seeing Adrian's pale eyes, the careful way he'd asked about her allergies, the genuine relief when she'd agreed to the safety measures. He didn't feel dangerous. He felt lonely. She wondered what kind of family gathering required hiring a fake date. What kind of family put that much pressure on someone to settle down? Her own mother wanted her to focus on school and career. The idea of being pressured into relationships felt foreign, almost archaic. Old money families, she supposed. The kind that appeared in society pages and had portraits of ancestors on their walls. She'd be stepping into a completely different world Friday afternoon. The thought was terrifying and, if she was honest with herself, a little exciting. When was the last time she'd done something spontaneous? Something that wasn't carefully calculated around work schedules and payment deadlines? Maybe this would be an adventure. 3 days in what was probably a mansion, wearing clothes she could never afford, pretending to be someone important enough to date a man like Adrian. She could handle 3 days of anything. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand, a text from an unknown number, though she suspected she knew who it was. The car will be a black sedan, license plate ending in 7V9. Driver's name is Marcus. He's been with my family for years. You'll be safe with him. Sleep well, Maya. She saved the number under Adrian's fake date and sent back a simple, thank you. Good night. His response came immediately. A simple moon emoji, nothing else. Maya smiled despite herself. Maybe rich people used emojis too. Maybe this wouldn't be as intimidating as she feared. She was wrong about that, but she wouldn't know it until Friday evening, when she walked into the welcome dinner and saw the way everyone turned to look at her. Their eyes reflecting lamplight in a way that human eyes shouldn't. When she saw the portraits on the walls, the ones where the subjects never aged across centuries of paintings. When she felt the temperature of Adrian's hand when he took hers. Cool as marble, impossible as moonlight. But that was still 2 days away. The black sedan arrived at exactly 10:45 as promised. Maya stood outside her apartment building wearing her nicest jeans and a sweater that only had one small stain near the hem that she'd carefully covered with her bag. Marcus turned out to be a man in his 60s with kind eyes and a patient smile. He opened the car door for her with a small bow that made her feel simultaneously special and deeply out of place. "Miss Chen," he said warmly. "It's a pleasure. I'll have you to the boutique in 15 minutes. The interior of the car smelled like leather and something else, something faintly sweet that she couldn't identify. Maya sank into the seat, trying not to touch anything that looked expensive, which was basically everything. Marcus drove smoothly through downtown traffic, eventually pulling up in front of Marchand's. The building was all glass and gold, with mannequins in the windows wearing dresses that probably cost more than her car, if she'd had a car. Adrian was waiting inside, talking to a woman with silver hair cut in a sharp bob. He looked up as Maya entered, and something in his expression softened. "Maya, you're precisely on time. I appreciate that." The woman turned, her eyes sweeping over Maya with professional assessment. "This is Celeste," Adrian said. "She'll be taking care of your wardrobe for the weekend." Celeste smiled, but it was the smile of someone calculating measurements and possibilities, not warmth. "My dear," she said, "let's get you into the fitting room. We have much to do." The next 2 hours passed in a blur of fabric and pins and Celeste's rapid-fire French as she consulted with her assistants. Maya stood on a platform in her underwear while strangers circled her with measuring tapes and knowing looks. She tried on dress after dress, each one more beautiful and more impractical than the last. "This one for Friday dinner," Celeste declared, adjusting a navy silk dress that draped across Maya's shoulders like water. Conservative, but elegant. "Saturday afternoon garden party requires something lighter." She produced a pale yellow sundress that somehow managed to look expensive and effortless simultaneously. "And for the evening gala." Celeste pulled out a deep burgundy gown that made Maya's breath catch. "This one is special." Maya stared at her reflection. The girl looking back at her didn't look like a broke college student working double shifts at a diner. She looked like someone who belonged in a place like Marchand's, like someone who might actually date a man like Adrian. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "It's perfect," Celeste corrected. She turned to Adrian, who had been sitting in a chair near the fitting room, watching quietly. "Your young lady has excellent proportions. Everything drapes beautifully." Adrian's pale eyes met Maya's in the mirror. "She's beautiful regardless of what she wears." Maya felt heat rise to her cheeks. He said it so matter-of-factly, like he was commenting on the weather, but something in his gaze made her heart skip. This was fake, she reminded herself. This was a performance. They added shoes, 3 pairs that fit perfectly thanks to Celeste's measurements. A small evening bag. A wrap for cool evenings. Delicate jewelry that Celeste insisted was merely costume but looked real enough to fool Maya completely. When it was over, everything was packed into garment bags and elegant boxes. Marcus appeared to carry them to the car. Maya tried to help, and was gently but firmly prevented by both Marcus and Celeste. "Ladies don't carry," Celeste said with a slight smile. "They allow themselves to be taken care of." Maya glanced at Adrian, who was signing something on a tablet that one of Celeste's assistants held out. She didn't see the total, but she saw enough zeros to make her dizzy. "You didn't have to spend so much," Maya said when they were back in the car, the garment bags hanging carefully in the back. Adrian shrugged. "You'll be representing yourself as my choice. That comes with certain expectations. My family would notice if you arrived inappropriately dressed. They notice everything." There was something bitter in his tone. Maya studied his profile as he looked out the window. In the boutique lighting, she'd noticed things she'd missed in the coffee shop. The almost unnatural smoothness of his skin. The way he moved with a predator's grace. The fact that in 2 hours she'd never seen him blink. "Are you nervous?" he asked, still looking out the window. "About Friday?" Maya considered lying, then decided honesty was easier. "Terrified, actually. Your family sounds intense." "They are." He turned to face her finally. "But they're not cruel, just very set in their ways. Very traditional. You'll hear stories this weekend that might seem strange. Family history going back centuries. Traditions that feel archaic. Just smile, nod, and remember it's only 3 days." Maya nodded. "What should I know about you? Our story, I mean." "If someone asks how we met?" "We met at the campus library." Adrian said it smoothly, like he'd already planned this. "You were studying late. I was there researching for a project. We started talking about biochemistry, your passion. I found your intelligence captivating. We've been seeing each other quietly for 6 weeks. Not quite long enough to be serious, but enough that bringing you to a family event feels natural." 6 weeks. Maya mentally calculated. That would put their supposed meeting in early October. "What was I wearing?" Adrian's expression flickered with something that might have been surprise. "What?" "When we met, if your family asks what I was wearing, what should I say?" He was quiet for a moment. "Navy cardigan," Adrian said finally. "Gray shirt underneath. Your hair was in a ponytail. You were drinking tea that had gone cold, but you kept sipping it anyway." Maya stared at him. "That's oddly specific." I noticed details. His pale eyes held hers. "It's important in my family to be observant." The car pulled up outside her apartment building. Marcus opened her door. "I'll collect you Friday at 11 a.m., Adrian said. "We'll drive out to the estate together. It's about 2 hours north of the city. Pack light. Everything you need clothing-wise is provided. Just bring personal items, medications, whatever makes you comfortable." Maya grabbed her bag. "Adrian?" He looked at her, waiting. "Thank you. For the clothes, I mean. And for being honest about what to expect." "You're welcome." He smiled slightly. "I'll see you Friday, Maya. Try not to worry too much." "It's just a weekend." She nodded and headed inside, where Jess was waiting with approximately 8,000 questions. But as Maya lay in bed that night, she couldn't shake the feeling that Adrian was wrong. This wasn't just a weekend. This was something else entirely. She just didn't know what yet. Friday arrived with gray skies and Maya's stomach in knots. She'd packed a small overnight bag with her laptop, phone charger, the medication she couldn't afford to miss, and a paperback novel her mother had sent her last birthday. Everything else, as promised, had been provided. Jess had helped her that morning, braiding her hair into something more sophisticated than her usual ponytail. "You look beautiful," Jess said, stepping back to admire her work. "Scared, but beautiful." Maya checked her reflection one more time. Scared was accurate. She'd spent the last 2 days researching what to expect at high society gatherings, watching videos on formal dinner etiquette and proper conversation tactics. She felt like she was preparing for an exam in a subject she'd never studied. The black sedan arrived precisely at 11. Marcus greeted her with the same warm smile and took her bag with gentle efficiency. "Mr. Adrian is waiting," he said, opening the rear door. Adrian sat in the back seat, looking out the window. He wore dark slacks and a charcoal sweater that probably cost more than Maya's entire wardrobe had before yesterday. He turned as she slid in beside him, and for a moment, something crossed his face. Wonder, maybe. Or appreciation. "You look lovely," he said quietly. "Thank you." Maya smoothed her hands over her jeans nervously. "I'll change when we get there." "No rush. We have time." The car pulled into traffic, beginning the journey north. For a while, they rode in comfortable silence. Maya watched the city give way to suburbs, then to stretches of forest still clinging to their last autumn leaves. She should say something. They were supposed to be dating. Couples talked. "Tell me about your family," she said finally, "so I don't completely embarrass myself tonight." Adrian's jaw tightened slightly. "My mother, Elise, is the matriarch. She's elegant, traditional, and believes strongly in propriety and duty. She'll ask you questions designed to assess your suitability. Don't take it personally. It's her nature. Suitability for what? For me. For the family." He said it like it was obvious. "She'll want to know your background, your education, your plans for the future. Answer honestly but briefly. She respects intelligence but distrusts oversharing." That sounds exhausting. It is. A slight smile crossed his lips. "My father passed away some years ago, so it's just mother, my 2 sisters, and various extended family. Catherine is the eldest. She's pragmatic and direct. You'll like her. She has little patience for the elaborate social games the rest of us play." "And the other sister?" "Vivienne." Adrian's expression became carefully neutral. "She's complicated, brilliant but sharp. She'll likely test you, try to catch you in inconsistencies. Don't let her rattle you." "Great." Maya's anxiety ratcheted up another notch. "Anything else I should know?" "We're close to the estate now." Adrian gestured out the window. "About 20 minutes away. Once we arrive, everything becomes formal. I'll be more reserved around my family. It's expected. But if you need anything at all, just say so. Even if it means ending the weekend early." Maya nodded. She appreciated that he kept giving her outs, kept reminding her she could leave. It made her want to stay, to prove she could handle this. The forest grew denser as they drove, the road winding upward into hills Maya hadn't known existed so close to the city. Then they turned onto a private drive, and her breath caught. The estate rose ahead of them like something out of a Gothic novel. It was built of gray stone, with towers on either end and windows that glinted in the weak afternoon light. Ivy crawled up the walls, and formal gardens stretched out on either side, currently winter bare but still maintaining a stark beauty. "This is where you grew up?" Maya breathed. Adrian nodded. "It's been in my family for generations. Try not to let it intimidate you." "Too late." Maya couldn't stop staring as they approached. The front entrance featured massive wooden doors that looked like they could withstand a siege. Marble steps led up to a columned portico. This wasn't a house. This was a monument. The car stopped, and immediately, 2 people in formal attire appeared to open doors and retrieve luggage. Maya stepped out onto gravel that crunched beneath her feet, looking up at the facade. It was even more imposing from ground level. "Welcome home, Mr. Adrian," one of the staff members said with a slight bow. "Thank you, Harrison." Adrian took Maya's elbow gently. "This is Miss Chen. She'll be staying in the blue room. Please ensure her bag is taken up immediately." "Of course, sir." Harrison's eyes flickered to Maya with curiosity but no judgment. "Ma'am." Inside was exactly what Maya had expected, and somehow still managed to be more. The entrance hall featured a sweeping marble staircase, portraits in gilded frames climbing the walls, and a chandelier that looked like it held 1,000 crystals. Everything gleamed with the patina of old money and older traditions. "Adrian." "Darling." A woman appeared at the top of the stairs. descending with fluid grace. She wore a cream-colored dress that probably cost more than Maya's tuition, and her dark hair was swept into an elegant twist. Her face was ageless in the way that expensive skincare and good genetics could create, though Maya would have guessed early 50s. This must be your guest. Adrian's posture changed subtly, becoming more formal. Mother, allow me to introduce Maya Chen. Maya, this is my mother, Elise Thorne. So we finally put a surname to it, Maya thought distantly. Thorne. It fit. Mrs. Thorne, Maya said, extending her hand. Thank you for having me this weekend. Elise took her hand, and Maya tried not to react to how cold it was. The woman's touch felt like marble. Miss Chen, how lovely that Adrian has finally decided to introduce us to someone. Her smile was polite, but assessing. We've heard so little about you. We've been keeping things quiet, Adrian said smoothly. Maya values her privacy, as do I, of course. Elise's pale eyes, so like her son's, studied Maya's face. You're a student, I understand? Biochemistry. Maya tried to project confidence she didn't feel. I'm in my senior year. Fascinating. Though I must admit I know very little about the sciences. Perhaps you can enlighten us over dinner this evening. We eat at 8. Formal dress. It wasn't a suggestion, Maya nodded. I look forward to it. Wonderful. Elise turned to Adrian. Your sisters arrived an hour ago. They're in the East Salon if you'd like to introduce Miss Chen before she freshens up. She glided away, her footsteps making no sound on the marble floor. Maya waited until she was gone before whispering, she's intimidating. Adrian's expression softened slightly. You did well. She's already analyzing whether you're suitable, but the fact that she invited you to dinner herself is a good sign. What would a bad sign be? Not being invited at all. He took her arm. Come. Let's face the sisters while we still have courage. The East Salon turned out to be a room done in shades of cream and gold, with windows overlooking the gardens. 2 women sat on an elegant sofa, both looking up as Adrian and Maya entered. The first was around 30, with dark hair like Adrian's and sharp, intelligent eyes. She stood immediately, smiling with genuine warmth. Finally, she said. The mysterious girlfriend we've heard absolutely nothing about. I'm Catherine. Maya shook her hand, relieved when this one at least felt normally warm. Maya Chen. It's nice to meet you. And I'm Vivienne. The other sister remained seated, studying Maya with unconcealed interest. She was younger, maybe mid-20s, beautiful in a way that seemed almost calculated. Her eyes were the same pale shade as Adrian's and their mother's. How did you meet my brother? Library, Maya said, grateful she'd rehearsed this. I was studying late. He was researching. We started talking about biochemistry. How romantic. Vivienne's smile didn't reach her eyes. Adrian's never shown much interest in science before. I find people more interesting than subjects, Adrian said evenly. Maya makes even complex topics accessible. The 2 siblings locked eyes for a moment, some silent communication passing between them. Catherine broke the tension. You must be exhausted from the drive. Let me show you to your room. You'll want to rest before dinner. Mothers' gatherings are rather draining. The blue room turned out to be larger than Maya's entire apartment. The walls were indeed blue, a soft shade somewhere between sky and slate, with cream trim and antique furniture that looked like it belonged in a museum. A 4-poster bed dominated the space, made up with linens that probably had a thread count higher than Maya's GPA. Her small overnight bag looked ridiculous sitting on the velvet bench at the foot of the bed. Catherine had walked her up, chatting easily about the estate, the weekend schedule, and safely neutral topics. At the door she'd paused. A word of advice, she said quietly. Be yourself. Adrian clearly likes you as you are. Don't try to be what you think we want to see. Mother can smell inauthenticity from a mile away. Thank you. Maya appreciated the kindness. Catherine hesitated. He's different with you, more relaxed than I've seen him in years. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Then she was gone, leaving Maya alone in the cavernous room. Maya sat on the edge of the bed, her hands shaking slightly. This was insane. She was in a literal mansion, about to have dinner with people who probably had more money than her entire hometown combined, pretending to date someone who looked at her sometimes like she was the only real thing in his world. She checked her phone. A text from Jess. How's the mansion? You alive? Maya took a photo of the room and sent it back. Alive. Room bigger than our apartment. Scared out of my mind. Jess's response was immediate. You've got this. Remember, you're smart and beautiful and they're lucky to meet you. Maya smiled. She spent the next few hours unpacking the dresses Celeste had chosen, hanging them carefully in the massive wardrobe. At 7, she started getting ready, grateful for the private bathroom that was larger than her bedroom at home. The navy dress fit perfectly, draping across her shoulders and falling to just below her knees in an elegant line. She'd watched enough makeup tutorials in the last 2 days to manage something more sophisticated than her usual routine. At 7:55, there was a soft knock on her door. Adrian stood in the hallway wearing a black suit that made him look like he'd stepped out of a fashion magazine. His eyes swept over her, and something sparked in their pale depths. You're breathtaking, he said quietly. Maya felt heat rise to her cheeks. You clean up pretty well yourself. He offered his arm. Ready? Not even a little bit. Good. Honesty is refreshing. They descended the grand staircase together. Maya could hear voices and soft music drifting from somewhere deeper in the house. Her heart hammered against her ribs. The dining room was everything she'd feared, a table that could seat 20 stretched beneath another massive chandelier. Crystal and silver gleamed at each place setting. Elise sat at the head, with Catherine and Vivienne along one side. Several other people Maya didn't recognize occupied other seats, all dressed in formal evening wear, all turning to look as she and Adrian entered. Everyone, Adrian said, his voice carrying easy authority. This is Maya Chen. Maya. This is my family. The introductions blurred together. Cousin Marcus, not the driver, but a sharp-featured man in his 40s. Aunt Helena, who looked young enough to be Adrian's sister. Uncle David, who watched Maya with predatory interest that made her skin crawl. Various others whose names she tried desperately to remember, and knew she'd forget. Adrian seated her beside him, about midway down the table. As soon as they sat, servants appeared with the first course, some kind of delicate soup that smelled of mushrooms and cream. So, Miss Chen. Elise's voice cut through the ambient conversation. Adrian tells us you're studying biochemistry. What draws you to such a field? Maya had prepared for this. I'm interested in genetic therapies, particularly for hereditary diseases. My mother has a chronic condition that current treatments can only manage, not cure. I'd like to be part of changing that. A noble goal. Elise sipped her wine. Though I imagine the research field is quite competitive. It is. But I'm willing to work for it. Maya met the older woman's eyes steadily. I don't mind hard work. Vivienne leaned forward. And your family? Are they in the sciences as well? My mother is a librarian. My father passed away when I was young. I'm the first in my family to attend university. Silence fell across the table. Maya could feel everyone's attention sharpen. She'd just admitted to being exactly what they probably suspected. Poor without connections, completely unsuitable. Catherine smiled. That's admirable. Education is the great equalizer, wouldn't you say, Mother? Indeed. Elise's expression revealed nothing. Though I find family legacy important as well. Adrian's hand found Maya's under the table, squeezing gently. The dinner continued, course after course of exquisite food that Maya barely tasted. Conversation swirled around her, with questions directed her way that felt like tiny tests. She answered honestly, not trying to be more than she was, remembering Catherine's advice. It was during the fourth course, some kind of rare meat that Maya pushed around her plate, that Uncle David spoke up. "Tell me, Miss Chen, what do you know about our family history?" Maya glanced at Adrian. "Not much," she admitted. "Adrian and I don't spend much time discussing family trees. We have more interesting topics." "Such as?" David's smile was sharp. "Science," Maya said. "Philosophy. Why horror movies from the 1970s are objectively better than modern ones." Vivienne laughed, genuine and surprised. "Oh, I like her. Adrian has taste after all." The tension eased slightly. Conversation shifted to safer topics, though Maya noticed Elise watching her throughout the meal with those pale, assessing eyes. By the time dessert arrived, a delicate chocolate confection, Maya's nerves had settled into a manageable anxiety. She'd survived. When dinner finally ended, Elise stood. "Ladies, shall we retire to the drawing room? The gentlemen can have their port." It was apparently not a question. The women rose and filed out, leaving the men behind. Maya followed Catherine and Vivienne through a series of hallways to another elegant room, this one done in shades of burgundy and cream. "Sit," Elise commanded gently, settling into a high-backed chair that looked almost like a throne. "Tell me, Miss Chen, what are your intentions toward my son?" Maya sat carefully on the edge of a sofa. "I care about him. We enjoy each other's company. Where it goes from there, I can't say. We're taking things slowly." Slowly. Elise's expression didn't change. Adrian is not a man given to impulsive decisions. The fact that he's brought you here suggests he's quite serious about you. I'm flattered by that. Maya chose her words carefully. But we're still getting to know each other. I wouldn't want to presume anything. Vivienne curled up in a chair like a cat, watching Maya with those unsettling pale eyes. "You're being very diplomatic. I appreciate that. But I'm curious. What do you really think of all this?" She gestured around the opulent room. "Honestly?" Maya took a breath. "It's intimidating. I'm from a very different world. But Adrian seems to think I belong here, at least for this weekend, so I'm trying not to overthink it." "And after the weekend?" Elise asked softly. "After the weekend, we go back to campus and see what happens. I have finals coming up. Adrian has his research. We'll figure it out as we go. Like normal people." The words hung in the air. Catherine grinned. "I really do like her." Vivienne tilted her head. "But you're not normal people, are you? Neither of you. There's something different about you, Maya. I can't quite put my finger on it." Maya's heart rate picked up. "I'm not sure what you mean." Before Vivienne could respond, the door opened and Adrian appeared. "Forgive the interruption, but I thought I'd rescue Maya from the interrogation." Mother smiled, but it was sharp. "We were just getting to know her better. I'm sure she found it enlightening." Adrian crossed to Maya, offering his hand. "Walk with me?" She took it gratefully, letting him pull her up. "Good night, everyone." "Sleep well, dear," Catherine called after them. "You'll need your rest for tomorrow's garden party." In the hallway, Maya exhaled shakily. That was intense. "You handled it perfectly." Adrian still held her hand as they walked. "My mother likes you. She's just too proud to admit it yet." "How can you tell?" "She didn't eviscerate you. That's high praise." He led her through the house, up a different staircase. "Where are we going?" "Somewhere I can actually talk to you without an audience." They ended up on a terrace overlooking the gardens, the night air cold enough to make Maya shiver. Adrian shrugged off his jacket and draped it over her shoulders. It smelled like him, something clean and faintly spiced. "Thank you," Maya said. "For the rescue." Adrian leaned against the stone balustrade, looking out at the darkened gardens. "Thank you for coming, for tolerating my family's scrutiny, for being so gracefully yourself." She joined him at the railing. They're not so bad. Your mother is terrifying, but in an impressive way. Catherine's lovely. Vivienne is... And Vivienne? Complicated, Maya finished. Like you said. There's something about her. About all of you, actually. She turned to look at him. Something I can't quite name. Adrian was quiet for a long moment. Maya, there's something I should tell you. Before tomorrow. Before things get more complicated. Her heart skipped. Okay, my family is not what you think they are. Adrian's pale eyes caught the moonlight, reflecting it in a way that shouldn't have been possible. We're not entirely human, Maya. The words hung in the cold air between them. Maya's first instinct was to laugh, to assume this was some kind of elaborate joke. But Adrian's expression was deadly serious. Not human, she repeated slowly. Adrian. What does that mean? He turned to face her fully. My family are vampires. We have been for centuries. This estate, our wealth, our traditions, all of it built over lifetimes you can't imagine. I brought you here under false pretenses, and for that I apologize. But I couldn't risk telling you before. I needed you to meet them, to see them, before I explained. Maya took a step back. Her mind raced through the last few hours. The cold hands. The pale eyes that reflected light strangely. The way the servants moved with such deference. The portraits in the hallway where the faces never seemed to age. The food she'd noticed none of them really ate. This is insane, she whispered. I know how it sounds. Adrian didn't move toward her. I wouldn't blame you if you wanted to leave right now. I'll have Marcus drive you back to campus immediately. No questions asked. You'll still receive the full $500. You're serious. You actually expect me to believe that you're a vampire. Adrian held up his hand. In the moonlight, she watched as his nails lengthened into something sharp and dangerous, then retracted back to normal. His eyes flashed with an inner light, then returned to their usual pale silver. We're very real, Maya. And I've put you in a position that isn't fair. My family doesn't know you're human. They assume I've brought home someone like us. Someone appropriate. Maya's legs felt weak. She sat on the stone bench near the balustrade, trying to process this. If you're vampires, shouldn't you be, I don't know, more obviously, monstrous? We've had centuries to blend in. Adrian sat beside her, careful to maintain distance. We're not the creatures from horror movies. We don't burst into flames in sunlight, though it's uncomfortable. We can eat regular food, though it provides no sustenance. We need blood, yes, but we have ethical sources. No one is harmed. This is crazy. Maya looked at him. Really looked at him. Are you going to hurt me? Never. His voice was fierce. Maya, I would never. The reason I brought you here, the real reason, is because I'm tired of the pretense. Tired of being matched with vampire women my mother deems appropriate. I wanted to bring someone real. Someone who sees me as Adrian, not as the thorn heir. And then I met you in that library 6 weeks ago. Wait. Maya's breath caught. 6 weeks? That wasn't made up? I really was researching there. I really did see you studying, helping other students, being brilliant and kind. I've been watching you for weeks, trying to work up the courage to approach you. Then I saw your response to that job posting and realized it was a sign. An opportunity. You've been lying to me from the start. Not lying. Omitting. Adrian ran a hand through his dark hair, frustration evident. I know it's not much better. But everything I told you about my family, about the pressure to settle down, that was all true. The only lie was pretending you knew what you were getting into. Maya stood, pacing the terrace. Her mind spun with implications. Your mother? Your sisters? All of them? All vampires. The extended family, too. Some are turned, some are born. It's complicated. And they think I'm one of you. Adrian nodded. They'll figure it out eventually. Your warmth, your heartbeat, the way you actually ate at dinner while the rest of us moved food around our plates, but I'm hoping to buy us enough time to make an impression first. An impression? Maya laughed, slightly hysterical. Adrian, what exactly is the endgame here? Do you expect me to pretend to be a vampire for the entire weekend? No. He stood, too. I expect you to be yourself. When my mother finds out the truth, I'll tell her that I don't care what you are, that I choose you regardless of species, that if she wants me to marry at all, she'll have to accept that it won't be to vampire royalty. It'll be to someone real. You're using me. Not as a fake girlfriend, but as a statement. As a rebellion against your family. Maya felt anger rising beneath the shock. Yes, Adrian didn't flinch from her gaze. But I'm also falling for you, Maya. These past 6 weeks, watching you, learning about you, the conversations we've had these last 2 days, I've felt more alive than I have in decades. You make me remember what it's like to be human. You can't fall for someone in 6 weeks. Especially someone you've been spying on like a creep. Fair. He acknowledged it with a slight nod, but I can be interested enough to want to try. Can be honest enough to admit that this started as a selfish plan to get my mother off my back and has become something more complicated. Maya wanted to be angry, wanted to storm out, demand to go home, forget this entire insane weekend, but underneath the shock and betrayal, there was something else. Curiosity. Because the truth was, she'd felt it too. The connection, the way Adrian looked at her like she mattered, the gentleness despite his obvious power. I need to think, she said finally. I need time to process this. Of course. Adrian stepped back, giving her space. Take all the time you need. I'll sleep in my study tonight. You'll be safe in your room. No one will disturb you. And if in the morning you want to leave, I'll understand completely. Maya nodded. She walked toward the terrace door, then paused. Adrian? Yes? The $500. Was that real? Or is money meaningless to immortal vampires? He smiled slightly. It's real, and money's not meaningless. Just plentiful. You'll be paid regardless of what you decide. She left him standing in the moonlight and made her way back through the labyrinthine hallways to her room. Once inside, she locked the door and sat on the massive bed, her mind racing. Vampires. Actual vampires. The family she'd had dinner with, the elegant people in their formal clothes discussing art and politics and family legacy, were creatures that shouldn't exist outside of fiction. And Adrian, the quiet man who'd hired her for a fake date, was one of them. Had been watching her for weeks. Had brought her here knowing he was putting her in a situation she couldn't have prepared for. She should be terrified, should be on the phone with Jess, demanding rescue. Instead, she found herself replaying moments from the evening. The way Elise had studied her with those ancient eyes. The cold touch of her hand. The portraits in the hallway where the same faces appeared across centuries. Vivienne's comment about Maya being different, about sensing something. They'd known something was off but couldn't quite place what. Maya pulled out her phone. 3 missed calls from Jess and a string of worried texts. She typed out a response, I'm fine. Things are complicated but I'm safe. We'll explain tomorrow. Can't talk now. Jess's reply came immediately. If you're in danger, use code word. Otherwise I'm calling the police. The code word was butterscotch, something they'd established years ago. Maya typed back, no butterscotch needed. Promise. Just processing some unexpected information about Adrian's family. We'll call tomorrow morning. She set the phone aside and lay back on the bed, still wearing the navy dress. Vampires. The word kept echoing in her head. If she accepted it as true, which the rational part of her brain violently resisted but the part that had seen Adrian's eyes flash with inner light couldn't deny, then, what did that mean for the weekend? What did it mean that she was the only human in a house full of predators? But they hadn't hurt her, had fed her, welcomed her. In their way, treated her with courtesy even if they'd been assessing her worth. If they'd wanted to harm her, they'd had plenty of opportunity. Maya sat up, a realization hitting her. Adrian had told her the truth. He could have kept lying, could have let her continue thinking this was just an eccentric wealthy family. The fact that he'd risked her running, had given her the information to make an informed choice, said something about his character. Or it was manipulation of a different kind. A voice in her head warned, making her feel like she had agency, when really, she was trapped in a mansion full of vampires hours from anywhere she knew. She got up and went to the window. The garden stretched out below, shadowy in the moonlight. In the distance she could see lights from what looked like a guest house or servant quarters. Normal people, maybe. Or maybe more vampires. Who knew what was real anymore? A soft knock on her door made her jump. Maya? Catherine's voice came through the wood. May I come in? Maya crossed to the door, hesitating before unlocking it. Catherine stood in the hallway, now wearing casual clothes, her hair down around her shoulders. I thought you might want some company, she said gently. Adrian told me he explained things. I imagine you're processing. Come in. Maya stepped back, and Catherine entered, looking around the room with a slight smile. I remember staying in this room when I was first turned, Catherine said, settling into the armchair by the window. Felt like a stranger in my own home. Everything familiar but fundamentally different. Maya sat on the edge of the bed. How long ago was that? 1847. Catherine said it casually, like she was mentioning last year. I was 23, dying of tuberculosis. Adrian offered me a choice, death or this. I chose this. You're his sister by blood? By turning, actually. I was a cousin originally. Very distant relation. The family has always been careful to turn people who already share some genetic connection. Makes the transition easier somehow. Catherine studied Maya's face. You're handling this remarkably well. I'm not sure I am. Maya wrapped her arms around herself. Part of me thinks this is an elaborate prank. That I'll wake up, and it'll be a weird dream. Catherine stood and crossed to her, holding out her hand. May I? Maya nodded. Catherine took her hand, pressing Maya's fingers to her wrist. No pulse. Her skin was cool, smooth, and completely still beneath Maya's touch. We're very real, Catherine said softly. And I know this is overwhelming, but I wanted you to know that not everyone in this family is pleased with the way Adrian brought you here. Meaning? Meaning I think what he did, watching you without your knowledge, bringing you into this situation blind, was wrong. She released Maya's hand. But I also understand why he did it. Our mother has been relentless about finding him a suitable match. She wants grandchildren, wants the bloodline secured. Adrian was at his breaking point. Maya sank back onto the bed. So I'm what? A human shield? A way to buy time? Perhaps that's how it started. Catherine sat beside her. But I saw the way he looked at you at dinner. That's not strategy, Maya. That's genuine feeling. Which makes this more complicated, not less. I can't date a vampire. Maya heard how absurd the words sounded even as she said them. I'm a college student with debt. And a sick mother and dreams of medical research. I can't get involved in this world. Can't you? Catherine tilted her head. Why not? Because it's insane. Because it's dangerous. Because I'm human. You say that like it's a death sentence. Catherine smiled slightly. Some of us choose to stay human even after meeting our kind. We have human servants who've worked here for generations. Marcus, the driver, knows exactly what we are. So does Harrison, the butler. Half the staff knows and chooses to stay. Why? Why would anyone choose this? For some, loyalty. For others, opportunity. We pay extremely well, provide excellent benefits, and offer protection. Catherine shrugged, and for some it's love. My brother cares about you, Maya. In a few decades, I've never seen him care about anyone outside the family like this. That's terrifying in its own way. Because I'm temporary, human, mortal. He'll outlive me by centuries, if you let him. Catherine's words hung in the air. There's always a choice, Maya. Always. The same choice I was given in 1847. Maya's stomach dropped. You're saying he'd want to turn me. Eventually, if things progressed, but that's years away. Decades, maybe. For now, you just need to decide if you can handle the weekend. If you can meet my mother's eyes tomorrow morning and continue this charade long enough to make Adrian's point. And what point is that exactly? That he won't be controlled. That he'll choose his own path, even if it means choosing a human over vampire royalty. Catherine stood, moving to the door. For what it's worth, I hope you stay. I think you're good for him. And I think our family needs more voices like yours. Real ones. Mortal ones. She left, closing the door softly behind her. Maya lay back on the bed, staring at the ceiling. Tomorrow there would be a garden party. Tomorrow she'd have to face Elise knowing the truth. Tomorrow she'd have to decide if she was brave enough or foolish enough to see this through. She thought about Adrian standing in the moonlight, admitting his deception. Thought about the way he'd watched her at dinner, protective and attentive. Thought about the $500 in her bag, money that could pay rent and buy groceries and maybe make a small dent in her mother's medical bills. Was it worth the risk? Was he worth the risk? Maya didn't know. But she knew she wasn't ready to run yet. She woke to sunlight streaming through the windows and someone knocking softly on her door, a moment of disorientation before the previous night came rushing back. Vampires. She'd had dinner with vampires. She was in a mansion, full of vampires. And somehow, impossibly, she'd fallen asleep. Miss Chen? A woman's voice. Unfamiliar. I've brought breakfast. Maya climbed out of bed, still wearing the navy dress, now wrinkled from sleeping in it. She opened the door to find a young woman in staff uniform, holding a silver tray. I'm Marie, the woman said with a warm